unsuspecting pregnant woman, navigating a vulnerable period in her life, was lured into a deadly trap by individuals who concealed their malevolent intentions behind a facade of normalcy. This is a story of calculated deception and unspeakable violence. We begin by examining the two individuals at the center of this grim narrative. The couple, let's call them Mark and Sarah. Their relationship history, as later uncovered by investigators, revealed a complex and often disturbing dynamic. They had known each other for several years, their connection appearing outwardly conventional to casual acquaintances. However, beneath the surface, certain unsettling traits were evident to those who observed them more closely. Mark often displayed a secretive behavior, a tendency to guard his true thoughts and intentions, rarely revealing his deeper motivations. Sarah, while often presenting a softer demeanor, was known to exhibit manipulative tendencies, skillfully guiding conversations and situations to her advantage. Neither individual possessed a widely known criminal past, which allowed them to operate without immediate suspicion. Yet law enforcement, through extensive interviews during the subsequent investigation, began to unearth subtle patterns that hinted at their potential for extreme manipulation. Friends and acquaintances, when later questioned, recalled instances of their detached responses to others' misfortunes or their unusual fixation on certain topics. These recollections, initially just fragments, would later form a chilling mosaic of their true characters. Their interactions with others were often superficial, designed to extract information or gain an advantage rather than forge genuine connections. This carefully constructed public persona allowed them to blend into society, masking the disturbing depths of their shared intent. Into this perilous landscape stepped Eliza, a woman whose life at the time was characterized by optimism and a natural inclination to trust. Eliza was in the advanced stages of pregnancy, a period of heightened anticipation and vulnerability. Her life revolved around preparations for her new child, a future she eagerly anticipated. She was perceived by her friends and family as an innocent individual, completely unaware of the looming danger that would soon intersect with her path. Interviews conducted after the events revealed a consistent portrayal of Eliza as someone open to connecting with others, particularly those who appeared supportive or offered assistance. Visual representations of her life from that period depicted a joyful anticipation. Perhaps ultrasound images, small baby clothes, or simple, everyday scenes of her going about her routine. These visuals, interspersed with the testimonies of those who knew her, underscored her trusting nature. This inherent trust, a benevolent quality in most circumstances, tragically rendered her susceptible to those who sought to exploit such a fundamental human trait. She was a woman focused on the impending joy of motherhood, utterly unprepared for the darkness that would soon envelop her. Her interactions with new acquaintances were typically genuine, lacking the cynicism that might have provided a protective barrier against malicious intent. This very innocence, unfortunately, made her the ideal target for individuals who meticulously sought out vulnerability for their own sinister ends. The stage for a profound deception was meticulously set. Mark and Sarah, the couple at the center of this disturbing narrative, began their calculated approach to Eliza. Their methods of contact were varied, often appearing innocuous at first glance. They might have used social media, connecting through a community group or a parenting forum, where Eliza's pregnancy would have been evident. Alternatively, the initial contact could have been through an acquaintance, a seemingly casual introduction that subtly paved the way for their sinister intentions. Regardless of the exact avenue, their initial interactions with Eliza were carefully orchestrated to build a foundation of trust. Mark might have presented himself as a helpful, earnest individual, perhaps offering advice or assistance with pregnancy-related matters. Sarah, often adopting a gentle and understanding demeanor, would have appeared kind and empathetic, someone Eliza could confide in. These early encounters were designed to lull Eliza into a false sense of security, to paint a picture of genuine concern and friendliness. They would gradually escalate their interactions, perhaps meeting for coffee, engaging in friendly conversations, and slowly weaving themselves into the periphery of Eliza's life. As the facade of friendship solidified, the couple moved to the next critical phase, setting the trap. They extended an invitation to Eliza, a seemingly benevolent gesture, but one laden with hidden malice. The invitation was always to a specific location, and always under false pretenses. They might have offered Eliza help with baby preparations, suggesting she come to a particular place where they had items to give her, perhaps baby furniture or clothing that they claimed to no longer need. Another plausible pretense could have been the offer of shelter, suggesting a temporary place to stay if she faced any challenges with her current living situation, appealing to any potential vulnerabilities. The lure might also have involved money, presenting an opportunity for a quick financial gain, playing on economic needs that a new mother might face. Or perhaps it was simply an offer of companionship, a casual gathering at a new place they were supposedly checking out. The key was that the invitation appealed directly to Eliza's circumstances as a pregnant woman, leveraging her needs and her trusting nature. The chosen location would have been carefully selected for its isolation and lack of immediate oversight, a place where their true intentions could be carried out without interruption. This meticulous planning, from the initial contact to the deceptive invitation, underscored the premeditated nature of their scheme, designed to ensnare a vulnerable individual. The benign appearance of their proposal masked a dark intent, relying on Eliza's trusting disposition to lead her precisely where they did not want anyone else to observe them. Each step in their plan was a calculated move, drawing her closer to the designated setting for their horrific scheme. The pivotal moment arrived as the trap fully sprung. A chilling reenactment of the events captures the critical sequence. Eliza, unsuspecting and trusting, is shown entering a secluded spot with Mark and Sarah. This location, whether a remote home, an abandoned building, or a desolate natural area, would have been specifically chosen for its isolation, ensuring privacy for the horrific act they intended to commit. The atmosphere, once appearing friendly, would have subtly shifted, though Eliza, still trusting, might not have consciously registered the change. The visual narrative of this entry is accompanied by ominous, low tones of music that gradually intensify, building a palpable sense of foreboding. The camera work would utilize close-up shots, focusing on Eliza's unsuspecting face as she steps across the threshold, or the unsettling, almost imperceptible glances exchanged between Mark and Sarah. Mounting narration emphasizes the gravity of the situation, explaining the calculated nature of the trap, detailing how Eliza was being methodically led into a perilous situation from which escape would be nearly impossible. Each step Eliza takes further into the secluded location heightens the viewer's awareness of the impending danger, contrasting sharply with Eliza's innocent demeanor. The friendly smiles of Mark and Sarah would have remained a final, chilling mask before their true intentions were revealed. The isolation of the location, combined with the psychological manipulation, created an environment where Eliza was completely vulnerable, stripped of any external support or immediate means of rescue. The silence of the secluded area would have been broken only by the subtle sounds of their footsteps, a profound quiet that amplified the mounting tension. The narrative emphasized Eliza's complete unawareness of the sinister nature of the invitation, highlighting the depth of the betrayal she was about to endure at the hands of those she had mistakenly believed to be helpful. This careful setup, designed to isolate and disarm her, demonstrated a chilling level of premeditation and psychological exploitation. The insidious orchestration of the trap reached its chilling crescendo. A carefully constructed reenactment of the fateful encounter captures the pivotal moments as Eliza, still unsuspecting and utterly trusting, was led directly into the secluded location by Mark and Sarah. This chosen site, whether a remote, isolated home, a desolate, abandoned building on the outskirts of town, or even a hidden, natural clearing within a dense wooded area, had been meticulously selected for its complete isolation. This ensured absolute privacy for the horrific act they intended to commit, far from any prying eyes or potential interruptions. As Eliza stepped into this ostensibly benign setting, the atmosphere would have begun to subtly shift. While her trusting nature prevented her from consciously registering the change, an underlying current of malevolence would have permeated the air. The visual narrative of this entry is profoundly unsettling, accompanied by ominous, low tones of music that gradually intensify, building a palpable sense of foreboding that contrasts sharply with Eliza's innocent demeanor. The camera work in this segment would employ close-up shots, focusing intently on Eliza's unsuspecting face as she crosses the threshold, her expression one of polite anticipation, starkly juxtaposed with the unsettling, almost imperceptible glances exchanged between Mark and Sarah, their eyes perhaps betraying a flicker of their true, sinister intent. Mounting narration meticulously explains the calculated nature of the trap, detailing precisely how Eliza was being methodically led into a perilous situation from which escape will be virtually impossible. Each step Eliza took deeper into a secluded location dramatically heightened the unspoken awareness of the impending danger, amplifying the viewer's sense of dread as they witness her inching closer to her horrific fate. The friendly smiles of Mark and Sarah, their final, chilling mask of normalcy, would have remained fixed just moments before their true, monstrous intentions were violently revealed. The utter isolation of the chosen location, combined with the profound psychological manipulation that had preceded this moment, created an environment where Eliza was rendered completely vulnerable, stripped of any external support, any immediate means of rescue, or any chance of outside intervention. The silence of the secluded area, broken only by the subtle sounds of their footsteps echoing within the enclosed space, would have profoundly amplified the mounting tension. The narrative emphasized Eliza's complete unawareness of the sinister nature of the invitation, highlighting the devastating depth of betrayal she was about to endure at the hands of those she had mistakenly believed to be helpful and kind. This careful setup, meticulously designed to isolate and disarm her both physically and psychologically, demonstrated a chilling level of premeditation, depravity, and sophisticated exploitation, all culminating in the execution of their unspeakable plan. Then came the sudden and horrifying shift in tone, the moments leading to the brutal crime. The carefully constructed facade of benevolence shattered in an instant, replaced by raw, unadulterated violence. The scene recreation, while necessarily suggestive rather than explicitly graphic due to its horrific nature, conveyed the brutality of the attack through its impact and implication. The narrative focuses on the suddenness of the shift, the swift and violent transition from feigned hospitality to savage assault. The initial phase involved the physical assault of Eliza. This was not a hesitant act, but a rapid, aggressive attack designed to quickly incapacitate her. Details conveyed to the narration or subtle visual cues in the reenactment will imply the force and cruelty involved, highlighting Eliza's struggle against overwhelming power. The focus remained on the expressions, the swift movements of the assailants, and the sudden shift in Eliza's demeanor from confusion to terror. The most horrifying act followed immediately. The couple performed the unspeakable, horrifying act of extracting her baby. The narration would make this explicit, with chilling text references such as "cut mom's womb" appearing on screen to convey the specific, gruesome nature of the crime, without requiring overly explicit visual depiction. The reenactment visuals, while suggestive, would rely on camera angles and carefully choreographed movements to imply the violence. Perhaps the scene would focus on the abductors' determined faces, their hands moving with chilling purpose, or on Eliza's body as it goes limp, the sound design emphasizing the struggle in the final, horrific act. The focus remains on the impact, the sheer terror, and the profound violation, rather than gratuitous detail. The atmosphere will become thick with the aftermath of violence, the silence that follows such an act being perhaps the most unsettling sound of all. This segment of the narrative is designed to convey the immense brutality and the calculated, monstrous nature of the crime, underscoring the deep depravity of the perpetrators and profound tragedy inflicted upon the victim and her unborn child. The deliberate planning, the cold execution, and the horrific outcome collectively paint a picture of evil that extends far beyond a simple act of violence, revealing a calculated intent to usurp life itself. The horrifying act had been committed. The aftermath was immediate, stark, and profoundly disturbing. Emergency responders arrived at the secluded location, their presence marked by the flashing lights of police vehicles and ambulances, cutting through the silence that now hung heavy in the air. The scene itself was a tableau of profound tragedy. Visuals from this initial response, later used in investigative records, depicted the grim reality. Police tape quickly cordoning off the area, creating a stark barrier between the sanctity of human life and the brutal evidence of its violation. The presence of a body bag being carefully transported from the scene underscored the irreversible outcome of the couple's malevolent plan. These visuals, though stark, were necessary to convey the gravity of the crime without resorting to explicit depictions of violence. The soundscape would shift from the ominous tones of the crime to more sterile, yet equally unsettling sound of an active crime scene. The crackle of police radios, the hushed voices of first responders, the measured footsteps of forensic teams. Amidst this grim discovery, the terrible truth of the crime began to emerge. A voiceover or interview clip, perhaps from a lead detective or a first responder, delivered the chilling revelation. They cut her womb to steal the baby. This direct statement conveyed the specific, horrific nature of the crime, leaving no ambiguity about the couple's motive and method. It was a detail that shocked even seasoned investigators. The subsequent discussion centered on the evidence that police found or collected at the scene. This included not only the victim's body, but also any implements or materials left behind by the perpetrators. Forensic specialists meticulously scoured the area, looking for trace evidence. Fingerprints, fibers, DNA samples, or specific tools that might have been used in the commission of the crime. Every minute detail was critical. The type of binding used, any discarded items, even footprints or tire tracks in surrounding terrain, all became potential clues. The very silence of the secluded area, once a strategic advantage for the perpetrators, now served as an amplifier for the forensic evidence, as fewer external contaminants meant a pure crime scene. This immediate aftermath was a race against time for investigators, as perishable evidence needed to be secured, and the window for apprehending the perpetrators before they could vanish narrowed with every passing hour. The profound tragedy of the victim's death was now coupled with a desperate search for a missing infant, adding another layer of urgency to the unfolding investigation. The complexity of this horrific crime immediately demanded extensive law enforcement involvement, extending far beyond the initial response teams. The case was quickly escalated, drawing in seasoned detectives who specialized in violent crimes and child abductions. Their primary objective was to unravel the motive behind such an unspeakable act and identify and apprehend those responsible. The investigation began with a painstaking recreation of events leading up to the discovery of the crime scene. Detectives meticulously reviewed witness statements, analyzed initial forensic findings, and began to develop theories about the perpetrators' profiles. This early phase focused heavily on understanding the victims' recent interactions, leading them to the couple, Mark and Sarah, who had ostensibly befriended her. The detective's narration would detail their methodical approach, explaining how they pieced together the couple's motive. This involved delving into the couple's history, their financial situations, any known psychological issues, and particularly any prior fixation on infants or pregnancy. Visuals during this investigative segment would show meticulous police work in progress, car searches for any incriminating evidence or traces of the victim, interviews with the couple's acquaintances, family, and anyone who had interacted with them, attempting to unearth any suspicious behaviors or statements, and intensely focused suspect questioning sessions. These interviews would be designed to uncover inconsistencies in their stories, to expose their deception and to extract confessions. The search for the missing infant ran concurrently with the perpetrator investigation, adding an overwhelming dimension of time sensitivity to every step. The police utilized every resource at their disposal: phone records, digital footprints, and surveillance footage from various locations. They understood that the couple's motive was likely rooted in a desire for a child, a desire so twisted that it led to the most heinous of crimes. This understanding helped detectives predict potential actions or hiding places. The process was a complex interplay of forensic science, psychological profiling, and relentless groundwork, all driven by the dual goals of finding the missing baby and ensuring justice for Eliza. Every lead was pursued, every alibi scrutinized, and every piece of information rigorously verified. The investigation was a testament to the dedication of law enforcement, relentlessly pursuing the truth behind a crime that defied comprehension, driven by a profound need to bring both the perpetrators to justice and to locate the stolen child. The details of their plan began to emerge. A calculated scheme, executed with chilling precision, revealing a level of premeditation that shocked even the most experienced detectives. The sheer depravity of their actions fueled the resolve of the investigators, ensuring no stone would be left unturned in their pursuit of justice. The meticulous and relentless investigation, propelled by the horrific nature of the crime and the urgent need to locate the stolen infant, rapidly culminated in the legal consequences for Mark and Sarah. The trail of evidence, painstakingly collected and analyzed, became an undeniable narrative of their culpability. From the moment of their apprehension, the couple faced a barrage of legal procedures. The arrest of the couple marked a critical turning point in the case. News reports from that time would have captured fleeting glimpses or still images of them, perhaps in the back of a police cruiser or being escorted into a courthouse. These in-custody visuals, often stark and unglamorous, served as a public confirmation of their capture, signaling an end to the active hunt. The images might show them being led away, their faces grim or defiant, their hands secured, underscoring the shift in their status from deceptive manipulators to criminal defendants. This visual evidence of their arrest was crucial for a public desperate for answers and justice. Upon their arrest, they were formally charged with a litany of criminal charges, including but not limited to kidnapping, murder, and aggravated assault, often with additional charges related to the unique and brutal nature of the crime. The subsequent trial became a focal point of public attention. Courtroom scenes, either through photographs or subtle reenactments, depicted the formal, deliberate pace of justice. The proceedings involved expert testimony from forensic scientists detailing the evidence found at the scene and on the victims, and chilling accounts from law enforcement about the recovery of the infant and the capture of the perpetrators. During the trial, the prosecution presented a compelling case, meticulously outlining the couple's premeditation, their calculated deception of Eliza, and the unspeakable violence they inflicted. The evidence included the digital footprint of their communications with Eliza, witness testimonies from those who saw them with her, and the devastating forensic findings from a crime scene. The legal arguments and evidence presented in court formed a damning indictment of their actions. Ultimately, the overwhelming weight of the evidence and severity of their crimes led to their conviction. The sentencing phase followed, delivering a final, definitive judgment against them. The court pronounced a sentence commensurate with the horrific nature of their actions, ensuring that justice, though grim, was served. This phase of the narrative emphasizes the formal, unwavering process of the legal system holding individuals accountable for their most egregious transgressions, bringing a conclusive end to the criminal aspect of this profound tragedy. The resolution of the criminal case against Mark and Sarah brought a measure of finality, yet the broader implications of their horrific actions resonated deeply within the community and beyond. The closing reflections on this case offer vital lessons. The narrative concludes with a final voiceover that discusses these broader implications, extending beyond the specifics of the crime to touch upon universal themes of safety and human vulnerability. One key implication highlighted is the disturbing reality of maternal vulnerability. Pregnant women, often viewed as symbols of life and new beginnings, can become targets for individuals with twisted desires. This case served as a stark reminder of the extreme dangers that can lie hidden behind seemingly benign interactions, underscoring the need for heightened awareness during periods of increased susceptibility. It compels a reevaluation of trust, urging caution even in seemingly harmless encounters. Another crucial point of reflection involves the necessity of heeding warning signs. The narrative emphasizes that while Eliza's trusting nature was exploited, there are often subtle indicators of danger that, in hindsight, might have been present. This serves as a call to cultivate greater personal vigilance and to trust one's instincts when something feels amiss, even if it cannot be immediately explained. The voiceover prompts listeners to consider what red flags might appear in deceptive situations and the importance of acting on those intuitions. Furthermore, the case serves as a somber lesson in violence prevention. It underscores the importance of community awareness, support networks, and the diligent work of law enforcement in identifying and neutralizing threats before they can escalate to such unimaginable levels. It encourages a collective responsibility to protect the most vulnerable members of society and to address the underlying pathologies that can drive individuals to commit such acts. The story ends with a serious, yet respectful note, a remembrance of the victim. This is not merely a statement of her tragic end, but a recognition of her life, her hopes, and the profound loss her death represents. It ensures that the victim is not merely a statistic, but a person whose memory demands justice and serves as a catalyst for greater vigilance. Alongside this remembrance, the narrative concludes with the assurance that justice was served. This provides a crucial sense of closure, confirming that the perpetrators were held accountable for their unspeakable deeds and that the legal system delivered a definitive response to their depravity. This dual focus, on remembrance and on justice, aims to leave the audience with profound understanding of the crime's gravity, the importance of protective measures, and the ultimate triumph of the justice system in the face of profound evil. The narrative extends beyond the immediate events to address the societal duty to protect the vulnerable, learn from tragic events, and continuously strive to build safer communities. The meticulous and relentless investigation, propelled by the horrific nature of the crime and the urgent need to locate the stolen infant, rapidly culminated in the legal consequences for Mark and Sarah. The trail of evidence, painstakingly collected and analyzed by a dedicated team of investigators and forensic specialists, became an undeniable and horrifying narrative of the profound culpability. From the moment of their apprehension, which was executed with precision to prevent further harm or resistance, the couple faced an immediate and overwhelming barrage of legal procedures. The arrest of the couple marked a critical and decisive turning point in the case, bringing a palpable sense of relief to the entire community that had followed the unfolding tragedy. News reports from that time would have captured fleeting glimpses or stark still images of them, perhaps in the back of a police cruiser, their faces grim or defiant, or being expertly escorted into a courthouse, their hands secured, underscoring the dramatic and irreversible shift in their status from cunning, deceptive manipulators to apprehended criminal defendants. These in-custody visuals, often stark and unglamorous in their raw depiction, serve as a crucial public confirmation of their capture, signaling an immediate and definitive end to the active hunt and their reign of terror. The images, which quickly spread across media platforms, serve as a powerful testament to the tireless efforts of law enforcement and a public desperate for answers and justice. Upon their arrest, Mark and Sarah were formally charged with a severe and extensive list of criminal charges. This included, but was not limited to, first-degree kidnapping, premeditated murder, aggravated assault, and additional grave charges specifically related to the unique and utterly brutal nature of the crime committed against Eliza and her unborn child. The subsequent trial became a focal point of intense public attention and media scrutiny, drawing observers from across the nation. Courtroom scenes, depicted through archival photographs or subtle, respectful reenactments, conveyed the formal, deliberate, and exhaustive pace of the justice system at work. The proceedings involved extensive and compelling expert testimony from forensic scientists who meticulously detailed the overwhelming evidence found at the crime scene and on the victims. This included DNA evidence, fingerprints, tool marks, and other trace materials that irrefutably linked the couple to horrific acts. Chilling accounts from law enforcement officers detailed the grim discovery of the crime scene, the painstaking recovery of the stolen infant, and the methodical capture of the perpetrators. During the trial, the prosecution presented an exceptionally robust and compelling case, meticulously outlining the couple's chilling premeditation, their calculated and insidious deception of Eliza, and the unspeakable, premeditated violence they inflicted upon her. The evidence presented was multi-layered and overwhelming. It included the digital footprint of their communications with Eliza, carefully preserved text messages, and call records that demonstrated their systematic luring. Powerful witness testimonies from individuals who had seen them with Eliza in the days leading up to crime, establishing a clear timeline, and the absolutely devastating forensic findings from the crime scene, which painted an undeniable picture of their actions. The legal arguments and the sheer volume of incontrovertible evidence presented in court formed a damning and irrefutable indictment of their monstrous actions. Ultimately, the overwhelming weight of this evidence, combined with the extreme severity and calculated depravity of their crimes, led to their swift and unequivocal conviction on all major counts. The sentencing phase followed swiftly, delivering a final, definitive, and impactful judgment against them. The court pronounced the sentence commensurate with the horrific and premeditated nature of their actions, ensuring that justice, though grim and born from profound tragedy, was served with absolute certainty. This crucial phase of the narrative emphasizes the formal, unwavering, and ultimately successful process of the legal system holding individuals accountable for their most egregious transgressions, bringing a conclusive and irreversible end to the criminal aspect of this profound and deeply disturbing tragedy. The resolution of the criminal case against Mark and Sarah, while bringing a measure of legal finality, only began to scratch the surface of the broader implications that their horrific actions had on the community and beyond. The closing reflections on this case offer vital, enduring lessons about human vulnerability, the insidious nature of evil, and the critical importance of vigilance. The narrative concludes with a final voiceover that delves into these profound broader implications, extending far beyond the specific, horrifying details of the crime to touch upon universal themes of safety, human trust, and the ever-present need for protective measures. One key implication highlighted with chilling clarity is the disturbing and often overlooked reality of maternal vulnerability. Pregnant women, who are universally viewed as sacred symbols of new life, hope, and the continuation of humanity, can tragically become targets for individuals driven by twisted desires, such as a desperate and malignant craving for a child of their own. This case served as a stark and unforgettable reminder of the extreme dangers that can lurk hidden behind seemingly benign, friendly, or even helpful interactions, underscoring the urgent need for heightened awareness and extreme caution during periods of increased physical and emotional susceptibility. It compels a necessary and uncomfortable reevaluation of trust, urging individuals to exercise profound caution, even in encounters that appear harmless or well-intentioned. Another crucial and enduring point of reflection stemming from this tragedy involves the absolute necessity of heeding warning signs, no matter how subtle or initially dismissible they may seem. The narrative emphasizes that while Eliza's trusting and benevolent nature was tragically exploited, there are often subtle indicators of danger, peculiar behaviors, inconsistencies in stories, or unsettling instincts about an individual that, in hindsight, might have been present. This serves as a powerful and urgent call to cultivate greater personal vigilance and, more importantly, to wholeheartedly trust one's own intuition and instincts when something feels genuinely amiss, even if the unease cannot be immediately or rationally explained. The voiceover prompts listeners to proactively consider what red flags might potentially appear in deceptive or manipulative situations and the paramount importance of acting decisively on those premonitions rather than dismissing them. Furthermore, this case serves as a somber and unforgettable lesson in violence prevention at its most extreme. It underscores the vital importance of robust community awareness programs, strong support networks for vulnerable individuals, and a relentless, dedicated work of law enforcement in identifying, profiling, and neutralizing threats before they can escalate to such unimaginable levels of depravity. It encourages a collective and unwavering responsibility to protect the most vulnerable members of society and to confront and address the underlying psychological pathologies and societal dysfunctions that can tragically drive individuals to commit such heinous acts. The story culminates with a serious, yet deeply respectful note, a profound remembrance of the victim. This is not merely a statement of her tragic and unjust end, but a solemn recognition of her vibrant life, her hopes, her dreams, and the immeasurable, profound loss her death represents to her family and to humanity. It ensures that Eliza is remembered not merely as a statistic in a grim true crime file, but as a person whose memory demands justice and whose ultimate sacrifice serves as a catalyst for greater collective vigilance and compassion. Alongside this powerful remembrance, the narrative concludes with the absolute assurance that justice was served. This provides a crucial sense of closure for all involved, confirming that the perpetrators were held fully accountable for their unspeakable deeds, and that the legal system delivered definitive and resolute response to their profound depravity. This dual focus, on compassionate remembrance and on unwavering justice, aims to leave the audience with profound understanding of the crime's immense gravity, the critical importance of protective measures, and the ultimate triumph of the justice system in the face of truly profound evil. The narrative extends far beyond the immediate, horrific events to address the fundamental societal duty to protect the vulnerable, learn from the most tragic events, and continuously strive to build safer, more compassionate communities for all.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more.